ignore our visitor. Anyways, I will be reading Rules of Civility by Amor Towles, a 324-page book in 3 days. Today is Monday. It's about 12:30 p.m. and I want to have this done actually not even in 3 days but 2 days. I would like it to be finished on Wednesday because there's a charity sale happening at my office and I'd like to donate this book. I feel like it's sort of been gathering dust on my shelves. I don't necessarily think it's my type of book anymore, but I think he's a good writer, and I think honestly much more I would rather read A Gentleman in Moscow. But I'd like to finish this first. Have I picked this up before? Yes, I have. I think I read about a chapter 2 years ago when I first got it, and I couldn't really get into the story at that time. But I have stronger reading stamina now, and I will get through this. At least more than the first chapter. And the thing is, if I just don't like it, I won't finish it, and I'll donate it anyway, which is fine by me. I'm not someone who's precious about those things. If I'm not going to read a book again, or if it's not calling to me, I will just give it away because that creates more space for me to buy books that I want and like, and I want to read or have plans to read in the future. I recently bought a stack of books secondhand, and they need places on the shelves. Not that my shelves are packed and bursting and there's no space whatsoever, but replacing this with one of them would make a big difference to me. So will I be able to do this? I'm confident. I may be too confident. I think I'm a fast reader and I can get anything done. Admittedly, if I'd started this Sunday evening, I would have had more time because I wouldn't be working and I wouldn't have those other responsibilities that you have with work, such as making dinner at a certain time and making sure you have food for the next day, blah 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 blah, blah, all those things. But we're gonna try. We're gonna see how far I get with this, and I actually will. How far am I gonna get with this? I'm gonna get to the end, or I won't finish it because I didn't like it. So if you don't know, Rules of Civility is a novel by Amor Towles. I would say it's literary fiction set in 1930s to 1940s New York. From what I remember, the story opens with two women who stay in a boarding house together, and they spot someone in the crowd, a man, that they sort of want to talk to or mess with, and they strike up a friendship, and they have a lovely little night out on the town. I do believe it's New Year's when this happens, and they all become friends. That's what I think. Well, let's see what the blurb says. In a New York City jazz bar on the last night of 1937, watching a quartet because she couldn't afford to see the whole ensemble, there were certain things Katie Content knew, like how to sneak into the cinema and steal silk stockings from Bendel's, how to type 80 words a minute, 5,000 an hour, and 9 million a year, and that if you can lose yourself in a Dickens novel, then everything is going to be fine. By the end of the year, she'll have learned how to live like a redhead and insist upon the very best, that chance encounters can be fated and the word yes can be a poison, that riches can turn to rags in the trip of heartbeat. This sounds like something I'd love, but when I started reading it, it felt nothing like what was being described in the blurb. It was not as comic as that at all. So again, we're just gonna see how it goes. I haven't been very good about reading. Just got home and I was overcome by the desire and urge to take a nap. And I did nap. And I feel like I might go back to sleep. I still have confidence in myself though. I'll grab the book. but I'm like halfway through-ish. I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so it's Friday evening. Not finished. What can I say? I got really ill Wednesday evening. I had a terrible migraine all day at work and then was literally sick on my commute back. And then I just slept all evening and all through the night and then stayed home the next day from office. So I did get some reading done. I didn't finish it because I was working yesterday and today, but I'm on page 288 of essentially 324. I know I said it was around 350 before, but all of this is like young George Washington's Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior in Company and Conversation. So it's a bunch of like rule number 1, rule number 2. It's the namesake of this book and it has an application and importance. There's a reason why the book is named after it, and can I say it got really juicy. I don't think you need to read all of those rules, by the way, beforehand or afterwards in order to understand like its weight and significance in the book. It's totally not necessary, so at your own will basically. But yeah, so I ended up liking this. I did really like it. Following Katie Content as a character is so fun. I think she's quite willful, strong, sharp-witted and shrewd as a character, and a complete opposite and sort of foil to her best friend at the start of the book, Eve Ross. And they have Tinker in the mix, and this sort of projects them into the more upper echelons of society than they had been inhabiting in New York City up till now. And I love these tales like this. Like I love Edith Wharton-esque tale of like climbing up into the glamour and seeing how weird different social classes and stratas are. And for me it was really fun. I think she goes about it in quite a fun way. She meets quite a posse of characters throughout the tale and builds relationships with a couple, and it's really interesting to see. And there was a really fun juicy reveal that I did not see coming. I was just like, it was so benign throughout the novel that I hadn't considered it as something. I was just like, I took it as extremely face value, and I didn't even consider for a moment to think that, oh, there may be something else going on. But anyways, that's just happened. There's about, like I said, so how many pages do I have left? Yeah, about 40 pages left. The thing is, I think about a third of the way in, or halfway in, the pacing kind of changes and switches up. So you'll get these moments where you're quite invested and you're like, okay, what's next? Blah, blah, blah. And you're really following the rhythm and flow of the story. But then it kind of like slows down for a bit as it transitions, and you're just kind of like, okay. I think it would be a great book to like read over a week or two, or like a nice holiday book. But in terms of binging, I think that's why it took me like longer, because there were some very natural points in the story where you could just stop and take a pause, which is quite good in a book, unless you want to read 300 pages in 2 days. But I'm gonna finish it this evening and then we'll get into it later. I feel like sometimes it's hard to collect your thoughts, and maybe I should write them down sometimes before I start speaking, but I didn't. Amor Towles, Rules of Civility, finished. I think I will be giving this copy away because I don't like it, but I like the story. I would recommend this story. It's very Edith Wharton-esque, although there was a disparaging comment about Edith Wharton in this book, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's calm down there. But despite that comment, I actually feel like you could draw parallels to this tale by Amor Towles and a lot of the themes and topics that Edith Wharton writes about. There's a lot of talk of high society characters in Edith Wharton's writing, It's the same in the Rules of Civility, about those secret rules of society, those secret rules of being a member in these upper echelons, how the people move and interact with each other, what the prized possessions are, what everyone is striving towards, and especially when you've inserted Katie Content, a working class girl who has these fragmented connections going on, and how she uses them to slowly pull herself closer and closer into a better life, into the society. Now, where Edith Wharton's writing might be about these like impenetrable rules and you can't win situations and then ostracizing that tends to happen in these circles, Amor Towles has done a really good job at showing how a main character can shrewdly insert herself in by not saying too much, saying too little, and just like playing the part, and by knowing the right people and having the right face and putting on the right show. And you have so many great instances of that, with beautiful, gorgeous descriptions of New York, of this seasonal progression throughout the novel, as this takes place over just 1 year, and it's split up, or the novel is sectioned into winter, spring, summer, and autumn. And it's really impressive how something that seems like it would have taken ages and spanned over years is actually just a singular year in the protagonist's life where so much happens, and she meets so many people that impact sort of the decisions she makes, the trajectory she tries or attempts to, or ends up being in for the rest of her life. And I think it's a really, really good, interesting, and entertaining novel. There were some juicy tidbits, definitely. I don't want to spoil them, but it was juicy. I was not expecting it. It's involving a woman and a man, and not in the way you would think. And that's all I'm going to say. And it does heavily involve our main cast of characters. It's great because I think it's one of those things that when it was revealed, I was like, oh my gosh, because when you look back at the novel, you'd see all these instances peppered in and they seem really benign. You're not like, it doesn't bring up any red signals or flag. You're like, surely, like, you're just like, yeah, this is something. This is just, part of the painting, part of the scenery. It's there for a reason. But then when the reason is shoved into your face when you're not expecting it, you're like, oh, this changes all of these happenstances, the context of them, why they're occurring so much. Like, you're seeing things in a completely new and different light. So I think that was really fun. Amor Towles is undeniably a great writer. I think the prose is very beautiful. Surprisingly, I actually thought he wrote a female viewpoint and character really well. I quite enjoyed it. I thought, Katie could be like my friend. As in, she felt realistic to me. I thought it was a good portrayal, and it was a portrayal of a female protagonist that didn't fall completely flat to me. And I kind of like that she's kind of aloof and removed from us, even though she's a narrator, because as she's telling the story when the book opens, it's decades later, after 1939, and she's reminded of these people in her life when she sees photographs of them at an exhibition, a retrospective exhibition. And so she's kind of remembering this year of her life, but it's not exactly told as a memory. It's like as it's happening. But I think somehow it manages to walk that line of being a very removed, aloof remembrance, but also like a play-by-play of the events and the circumstances and the developments of that entire year really, really well. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I said this, but I'm probably not going to keep this copy just because I don't love it, but it was a great book. I would probably maybe read it again in a couple of years, and I would recommend it to you to read. Let's see, main themes. Secrets. Growing up young, growing up not in the best circumstances, growing up in New York. New York is a very big part of this novel, so if you love New York descriptions, especially because this is like in the jazz age, I think it's really fun. Oh, sorry, not 1939, 1938. And I do love a little bit of a vintage moment in a novel. I love a little bit of, okay, this is how things were almost 100 years ago now. And it's so different. It's so charming. It is imbued with that historical flavor. Flavor is not the word I want to use, but it's what I'm coming up with. Jazz is also quite a theme in this. Not that there's like long soliloquies happening, but there's definitely a refrain of jazz and jazz bars and listening to jazz or dancing to jazz coming up, or scenes being set at jazz bars that, you know, come up throughout this novel. And relationships is also a big part of it. Friendships, romantic relationships, platonic relationships that cannot be defined. I think that's a really big part of it, and they're all quite interesting. So I guess if you like hearing about that, if you like something historical, if you like literary fiction, if you like New York, if you like beautiful descriptions and female protagonists, I would say read it. Read it. It's not very adventurous. There were pauses and places where I felt the pacing stalled a little. You've got so many different storylines and people being picked up and, like, you know, ululating throughout this book that it's not a very bingeable book. And I think I said this in one of the previous clips, but it is a good read to read over, you know, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe over a holiday, maybe, you know, just one that you have on your bedside table or in your bag and you pick up here and there. It was a really nice reading experience. So those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. You should like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you stick around for the next one.